And we're back
We're back.
with my soft voice.
Sensual voice.
Sensual voice. We're doing it. Round 2.
Yeah, it's been too long.
It's been it was midway through. It was like,
But as you know, as people, it's a long time between connecting.
yeah.
I'm awake this time. I have clarity of thought and clarity of
Mm.
soul, whereas I was, just kind of swimming through the last one.
I think to start this off, I've just got to say to everyone, for those who don't know who Erchana is, you are
I was like, I am a barely heads local. No. Earlier this year, I ran 150 marathons from Cape York to Melbourne. So that broke the Guinness World Record for the most amount of marathons in a row by a female. So it was pretty cool.
And when we did our last episode, I think you're at like number 96.
Yeah, which is crazy to think of the length of Australia. I was 96 out of 150 and I was still on the border of Queensland and New South Wales. You can't really fathom just how big Queensland is until you run it. And then pretty much once you get into the New South Wales Victorian border, it's only 2 weeks and you're home. So I spent a large chunk of that time in Queensland.
Yeah.
And because Burleigh Heads was home, it was almost this really rewarding feeling running here and talking to you because you got to see your family and, you know, surrounded by community that you know before you keep running. So it was a really memorable time of the experience.
I'm glad you're back and you're now in you're Burleigh local now.
Yes. So I was a Melburnian before this, but decided after the end of the run to move up here. I think I love the beach. I love the hinterlands. It's just a really cool place.
We've got everything.
Everything. I'm that problem though, because I think the price of rent here is like the worst in Australia now. And I'm one of those people that's moved here and made that worse. So I do apologize to everyone that does live on the Gold Coast who can't afford to live here anymore.
It's really, it's bad. It's bad. Like, we won't get into the politics.
We won't. No, it's not a housing crisis chat. It's a running chat.
It's a running chat.
Yes.
So running, okay, this is where like everyone, pretty much Australia knows who you are and what you've done. My first question, and I don't want to do this this is something that I wanted to know.
Mm-hmm.
What was the feeling for you crossing the finish line? Because, you know, it was televised all over Australia. Like, it was you. Like, when I saw you on the news, I'm like, oh my God, I saw her. Like, it would have been
54 days
prior.
I
was like, cool. I spoke to her. That was really quick. But then, you know, watching you cross the finish line, like actually finishing 150 days of marathons, like what was it like? Like, you know, because Ned Brockman did his and he had the massive, huge crowd and there was a lead up into it. But for you, did you have people running with you for the full 42 or like?
Yeah, so I deliberately started the last marathon it was a Monday, 1 p.m. because I wanted people to be able to get around the finish line and knowing that it was a work day. I didn't want to finish at my normal lunchtime, 1 p.m. and have everyone at work. So strategically I thought it, and I was absolutely blessed on that day because for, January, it would have been the middle of summer and it was it was on the kind of cusp of too warm, but just really manageable. So when I started at 1 p.m. at the Botanical Gardens, I thought there would be nobody there because it was 1 p.m. on a Monday and there was a lot of people there to run. And the plan was to do a loop of Melbourne, kind of the most iconic parts of it. So we did Botanical Gardens, the lake, just in and around kind of the key running spots. And as the afternoon progressed and we got into that 5 o'clock kind of period, it just grew and grew and grew. And the goal for the last, 16, 20 Ks was to loop this 3.8 kilometer park, the tan. And
cool.
And the finish line was on the tan. So the point of that was for people that could only run 3 or 4 Ks, they could just join in for one loop and I would constantly loop. So there was kids joining me and, you know, and each loop we picked up more and more people. And I still to this day don't know how many people were there until I saw a drone shot. And it was just like, it was epic.
Yeah, that was for you.
I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know that at the time. So crossing the finish line was almost surreal. And it's strange. I didn't feel I felt joy, obviously, and excitement at the time. But then I was nervous because I was straight on the project. So I just felt nervous. I just felt about 1,000 emotions.
Yeah.
And to be honest, adrenaline, just heaps of adrenaline. And it took, I would say, 2 months for it to really settle down enough for me to take a step back and go, how did I actually feel? And it's not until looking back over the photos and the footage and I see people that were there and I'm like, what are they doing? That's so incredible. They came to the finish line, and then I burst into tears. So it didn't hit me as much at the time, but it keeps hitting me in waves afterwards, which is I guess it's a good thing. I haven't forgotten it.
Now, like going like off the back of that, you know, what were the days after? What did that actually look like? Because, you know, you've done the 150, it's hit you. People's lives just go on. That's how life works. You know, life goes on. How are you, like, you finished 150 consecutive marathons, and then, you know, where'd you sleep that night? Like what did you do? Like, how did that all work, and how did that feel?
Well, we kicked on and we had some beers, and I finally at about 8 or 9 p.m. got to say hi to everybody, and I think I got home at 1 or 2 in the morning, and I was buzzing. Like, no, I hadn't been drinking. I hadn't eaten enough either. It was just talking to everyone. I could not sleep that night. I was so excited. I woke up at about 7 a.m. to about 16 missed calls from different radio stations, and then woke up in a panic. So that whole kind of next 3 days afterwards for me was similar to the actual journey, whereby there was heaps of hustle and bustle. And then later in the week, and also to top it off, all my family had flown in from all over the world. So I dropped them off at their airports later in the week, went to bed at about 4 p.m. and woke up, I reckon, almost lunchtime the next day. It just hit me like a truck about 4 or 5 days later. And that's when the fatigue started to kick in. It wasn't instantaneous. It was way later. And when the fatigue kicked in, I was going to bed like 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and then 1 till 2 and then 4 till 5 every day. Just
this is what I want to know. Like, people just see, like, you know, of course you're not going to post that every single day, but for you, you know, we see the photos and that, but we're not actually seeing like the fatigue, like was there damage?
Not so much damage, but it's just so much fatigue. So I couldn't, and the thing that I remember feeling really frustrated because I had all this momentum that I wanted to leverage for my cause, you know, and et cetera, but I just didn't have the energy to do it. And I didn't have any direction, and I couldn't think of a direction, but I wanted to carry the momentum. So I was pulling myself in all different directions and putting way too much pressure on myself to achieve in a time where I should have taken a step back. So for the first couple of weeks, even months, I was just kind of, frustrated and angry that I wasn't doing more with my time. And it took a little while for me to say, okay, give yourself permission to rest, because you've got no choice at this point. There's nothing else your body wants to do. And then once I started resting, I reckon it was 6 months. So only recently have I started feeling back to not just myself, but able to, you know, train and improve again. So it's been an absolute journey. And
have you noticed any like real physical or even emotional adaptations during that phase, like of rest and recovery?
Absolutely. So even yesterday, my friends and I caught a train out to the furthest line from Brisbane and then ran back. I haven't run that far.
You ran? Oh my God.
Yeah. And then we ran back. So it was, my watch said 45 Ks, but it wasn't. It was like 48. I stopped. Yeah, I always forget to restart it. So it was more like 48.
I thought you rode that because I saw you've been doing a lot of riding.
No.
Okay.
We ran it. And that prior to Tip to Toe, I never would have just done without it. But I have so much confidence in my ability to go distance now. It's just without training, you know. And when I say training, I'm always running. It's just nothing specific. So my confidence to get through it has just, it's all there. Like, I have no doubt in my body now to just do things, which is cool.
Because what we were saying off camera, you know, I've got that 50K coming up this Saturday, and I've sort of got the same mindset, but I know I've done damage. So I'm like, is my body going to carry me through it? I'm like, probably not.
Probably. When it's like an actual physical thing. Mine was just fatigue. There was no musculoskeletal injuries. I did blood tests. I was a bit low in protein. Everything else was fine. So surprisingly all good. And there was so many, I guess, physiological and psychological benefits, like my confidence in overcoming challenges grew, and my, I guess, confidence in myself to talk to people and be a bit more kind of, I guess, extroverted grew, and all that stuff as well, because I was meeting so many people out there and I have so many friends off the back of it. So there's a lot of friendships made too.
Like, and what was it like doing the media circuit? Because, as you said, radio, TV, like, how did you cope with that? Like, because it would have been unrelenting. Hey, can we get you on? Can we get you on? Like, how was that? Like, especially with did you have brain fog or anything?
I did heaps of brain fog.
Yeah. How did that all?
Yeah, I guess I was super nervous at the start. Even for podcasts, I'd get really nervous. And then the more
now?
Well, a little bit.
Oh.
No. Should I be nervous now?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm very confident and comfortable here.
Wow.
Not confident, comfortable.
Good. Because we've got Caleb here. He's making me comfortable.
Is he just giving you eyes across the room?
He does. Anyway.
No. It was fine. I actually started to really enjoy it. I reminded myself that the more this happens, the more people are hearing your story, the more money could get donated to charity, the more awareness is being raised. And I kept trying to just bring it back to my why. And it became fun. It became, I became comfortable with my story and what to say. And I think even in the early days, I just would forget the simplest things, like, why am I running? And I'd panic. Like, of course you know why you're running.
Sorry to interject, but like what you've just said then, it's just a perfect representation of you. Like, it's not so much about the massive fucking achievement you did. Like, you ran so far. You always bring it back to your cause. Like, it's not like I'm Erchana who ran 150 marathons in 150 days. It's like, no, I ran this to raise money for this. And then you're always pushing that. And that's what I love about you, because you're not, there's no ego behind it.
I think, honestly, if anyone set their mind to do it and had a little bit of running background, because you do need to have training behind you, you could do it. I was just privileged enough to have the time and make the decision to make time. And I think that was, and for me, it was always about the cause. I really wanted to do something for a cause that I loved. And even now I'm creating an event on the Gold Coast it's a community event though. It's got nothing to do with me. It's going to be a fun run on Burleigh Beach that profits were all going to go to Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary. So it's going to be in June of next year. So I just love doing things that involve people, get them running, get them a little bit sweaty, lace up their shoes and try something hard, all for a good reason. I'm starting to realize that if things are fun, people will do them, and it can be fun and have a good cause at the same time. Then it's a win-win. Yeah.
And you can plug that now.
It's not really finished yet, so I will soon plug it. But no, it'll be June next year, and it's going to be on Burleigh Beach. Do you know the Rock, North Burleigh?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just going to be an all-out beach run. So first person to touch the rock and back.
Oh.
On the beach.
On the beach.
Yeah, it's too short for you. It's like 46 Ks too short for you.
Oh, so it's just an up and back?
Yeah, it's only 4 Ks.
Too short.
You'll be fine.
Well, actually, a few years ago, little cool quirky thing about me. So my first ever ultra, I did up and back from North Burleigh to Burleigh, all the way to Burleigh Point and back for 10 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How was your Achilles on that?
Horrible. I had a stress fracture actually on the side of my foot. Pretty cool.
Did you do it barefoot?
No, I did. I used not barefoot, but like lower.
Yeah.
What's the
low
drop?
heel drop?
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah. Oof.
But yeah, that was my first introduction to it, and haven't looked back since.
Yeah. Wow.
The
that's
more
very
you know.
Cool.
So change gears here a bit. To this, like, again, I do the podcast for me because I want to know about stuff. How did you fit back into normal life after doing that? Because like every morning you're up at X.
Yeah.
You run 42.2 kilometers. and you've done that for 150 days. How do you go back to not doing that? Like, what's the transition point? How do you navigate that to go, oh, I'm not doing a marathon today?
Yeah. It changed as well. So I did sleep in for the first, I think I'm still sleeping in. I'm just still.
What's a sleep in though?
Now? Oh, it's embarrassing. It's like 8.
Oh, that's
it's a sleep in, considering I'm like usually an early bird, and everyone on the Gold Coast runs at like 5:30 a.m.
Yeah.
So I've missed every casual run on the Gold Coast ever because I sleep through them all. But I don't think I'm even there yet. There's definitely times where I miss it, where and I don't so much miss the distance run. I just miss being in remote parts of Australia and waking up next to a waterfall, or waking up by a river or in a paddock, and just being like, cool, I get to explore a whole new part of the world today. That bit I miss. And that's why I'm starting to reintroduce these fun kind of weekend adventures, also to show that you can have an adventure in your own backyard. You don't have to do something as wild and drastic as what I did. And just, I miss that more than anything, because I can run again now. I didn't miss the running for the first few months because I was too tired to do it. So I went to the gym instead and just tried to be physical without overdoing it or without running. I more miss the travel, and it's hard. It's hard to, because I went and then did this Tasmania adventure, and that was cool.
That's what I wanted to ask about next. What you just, I saw on your Instagram, you're just running this like, what was that?
So I ran from Davenport to Hobart, and that was 300k. So it was essentially down Tasmania. And I did that in July, which is only last month, for 2 reasons. Three reasons. One, because I really wanted to finish the East Coast. So I hadn't done Tassie, and so I've now done the entirety of the East Coast. 2, because I had this idea. I was given these pictures from 3 girls, Ange, Alice, and Mel, and they were talking to me about how they want to, change for a greener. But what can they do to help ensure a greener future for them? And I thought about it, and I thought, well, you can write to your MP. And then because I already knew I would like to do this Tassie run, I thought, well, let me tee up a meeting in Parliament in Hobart and run them there as a bit of a showcase to be like, look, the next generation can speak up as well. So I did it, and it was freaking awesome. It was winter, it was snowing, it was just different. But my body was not used to it. Like my body, I learned on that run that I'm not ready for a big running expedition yet. And it was physically so much harder than tip to toe ever was. And I thought, all right, well, if I can't do these big things that I want to do, I need to work out how I can still be in the outdoors, still adventure, and without breaking my body down too much, because I think you do have to respect recovery.
Let's talk about that, because, we were talking about it before. I don't think, look, I'm not going to put a rational generalization on the Gold Coast, but, a lot of people are out there really going hard on themselves. They're going hard in their runs, and every single run is hard, and every single run's a PB. And there's the recovery piece. And I guess so, it's always social media. Social media is now starting to say you need to recover. So for the people, and especially coming from you, because I would count you as, pretty much elite athlete. Like, you're up there, you're fast, you're quick. How important is, especially with your experience, how important is taking a break and actually resting? Like, they say, oh, you can do a recovery run. It's like, no, like rest, like lie down and do nada. And
it's also mental rest too. So you need to be able to not think about it as well. You need to do something that distracts you, because if all you're ever doing is focusing on improvement and performance, if all you're ever doing is watching what you eat, watching how much you sleep, it's quite stressful. You don't switch off. So I think you need the physical break for your body to recover, and also the mental break for your mind to recover. And to me, that's exactly what it is to be resilient. So I would say resilience is not how much you can endure, but how much you can recover in terms to endure for longer. So you want to have an elite endurance mindset, right? You need downtime to do that. If you burn 100% of the time, you're going to last a very short amount of time. You're burning that candle quick. But if you let yourself, really have that downtime, and this is permission to take time out. If you have that downtime.
Everybody listen to this.
then when you go 100%, you can actually give it 100%. So it's important, and I had to learn the hard way. It's not in my nature to want to slow down. I'm very much a straight out of the gun, go getter kind of person. But yeah, I think if I could meditate, I would, and I'm trying, but I'm not quite there yet. It's hard, but I do other things to recover, like yoga and stretching and sleeping and napping and occasional Netflix, and I think it's just as important.
Yeah, I think that like we all need to just chill. Like, what for you? Like, and again, to bring it back to you, you aren't doing it to prove anything to anyone. And sorry, Gold Coastians, but a lot of Gold Coasters, there's a sense of proving. There's a proving ground there that we're trying to outdo one another, and I think we've just got to really enjoy the run for the run. Like, you know, I see so many people beat themselves up over a DNF, and you know, they beat themselves up because they missed out on their PB. And I'm like, it's just, yes, you've trained for it, but then, as you said, it's that resilience side to understand that this stuff sort of happens. Like,
it's just racing.
It's just racing. So just enjoy the run for what it is. And you know, my new coach, Adzi Gordon, you know, he's really, when it comes to coaching, and especially for me, he's really shifted my mindset to just enjoy the journey.
No, but it's true.
And you know, and that's what I'm doing. Like, if I miss a run, I miss a run. I've got plenty more runs to come, and I don't know. I think it's just a testament, you know, to who you are by telling these guys, like, from someone who has experienced it firsthand. Now, the next big thing I've got to ask is, there's probably, you know, people are probably asking you, what's next? What's the next big thing? Do you feel like you have to prove, like going back to that proving point, do you feel like, you know, you have to do something big now, or is it like you just sort of like,
Yeah, I did early on feel like I had to prove it because I got asked so much. And then
like an expectation now.
Yeah. And then I think in time I couldn't do anything. And, you know, Tasmania showed that to me, that I wasn't ready to do anything big. And I guess now, you know, you get asked a little bit less and less, and the reason that my answer's changed, but for me, so my answer is yes, I want to, but it's going to be something that I really want to do, and it's because I love adventure. And I think the next one I will just do for myself, not so much to raise money. I feel like I've, you know, asked so much for funds to be raised.
How much did you end up raising?
I think it was 135,000. So it was good. It was good. And and I'm going to set up events to help, you know, contribute to community as well. So that's something I want to constantly kind of include in my life and in my goals. But I think the next adventure I do will be, and I have a few ideas.
Transcon.
Yeah.
Really? No. Don't do that to yourself.
It'll be something different. It'll be like, it'll include different elements of adventure. And I'm really kind of inspired to do something that's I don't know how to do. So running for me was a comfortable hard. Like, it was outside what I knew that I thought was possible, but it was something that I was comfortable doing. Whereas I'd love to do an adventure that was like kayaking or swimming or something I have zero prior knowledge in, that I actually have to learn from scratch.
Endurance knitting.
How many sweaters can we knit in 1 week?
24-hour knit challenge. Cool.
I don't think I can knit one. I don't even know how to start.
Oh, this is good.
1 stitch. Yes.
Yeah.
So something I just have no idea how to do.
Yeah. Like, I think, you know, I get worried for people. I shouldn't say I get worried. No, I'll say that. I get worried for people that do these big, you know, these huge audacious events, like feats, and, you know, the mental anguish, like, are you going to do it again? Are you going to do it again? Like, how does that make that person feel? Like, I always bring it back to, what's his name? Who did the Transcon? Ned Brockman.
Yeah.
You know, I look at him and there's now he's created this image of, you know, this is who I am. And I'm like, man, you can just enjoy being you, man. Like it's like,
okay.
and
yeah.
I wish one day he would come on the podcast so I could get that side of the story. But you know, people have asked me, "Oh, have you spoke?" Like my mum was like, "Oh, is Erchana gonna do another big one?" I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
don't think she has to. I really don't think it's necessary.
Yeah. And I guess people don't know this, but it's 50% me, 50%. So my partner was a huge help on that. He was, setting up camp every day and, he was definitely integral to the expedition, and he's working full time on the documentary right now, which will come out in the next couple of months. But the next adventure, I'd love to incorporate him as well and almost do it as an actual partnership. I mean, it was a partnership, but in a way that we could kind of do something together. Where he could take a bit more of a forward step. I don't know if he's agreeing. I'm just, I don't think I've run this past him yet. He might hate the idea, but it would be cool to do something. Yeah. And I think I'd have it more environment based than endurance based. I've got like vague, as you can see, I haven't quite worked it out yet, but, yeah, did you know there's someone else doing the Turnbull Express? I can't remember what his actual name is, but he's like 19 days into it. He's doing 100K a day, and he's smashing the Western Australia to Sydney run, smashing it. I know. It's been. Do you know what I've noticed this last 6 months is how many of these adventure, like expedition endurance events are going on. It's
fantastic, but it's funny how it started to like slowly like. I'm not going to get into that, and I'm not going to dig myself a grave. I agree with it, and I also don't agree with it because of the social media pathway. But
I've just seen it go crazy. I was like, when I was first playing this, there only was a few, and Sean was one, and then I found out about Ned maybe 2 months before I started. I was like, cool, this is great. And then all of a sudden, like I'm like, wow, it's so incredible. Like there's someone running Antarctica, Australia, they're crossing. It's just, I don't know. It's in the water.
There's I'm going to leave it there, guys. I'm not going to say anymore.
I'm trying to bait him.
Yeah, no, don't. But even Sean's another one. Like,
yeah,
I really do want to get Sean on, and as we spoke earlier, it's all about longevity. Like this running things, as I said before, it's just a run. There's plenty more to come.
Mm-hmm.
So he did the 200 miler, and he was like running 2 days later. And it's like, how do you? Yeah.
Works for him. I'd need more rest.
Yeah. So
but he's an expert. He knows what he's doing.
To go back a bit, so your partner, I would say, and this is another question. He's like the unsung hero of this.
Absolutely.
Like you did the running, but he was this like, I don't think people understand how intense crewing can be for someone, like actually crewing. So like, what was his thought? What, like, again, he's not here, so you're gonna have to sort of speak for him. But how did he go, like, with the aftermath? How did he go with all the media, everything?
Yeah, it was exactly the same for him. So he loves the outdoors too, and he, for context, would spend half of the day setting up camp, cooking, and crewing, and then half the day editing. So he was editing constantly, and he had the same kind of come down from it all, and he'd lost his kind of sense of purpose in the day. He's reliving it. Making a documentary, he gets to dive into that world every day. So he hasn't quite closed his book. I closed the book in January when I finished the run, but his book will be closed when the documentary's out. So he's still kind of in the thick of it. But I think, for anyone doing like a large expedition like this, but particularly when it's attached to a cause and you want the cause to be the center stage, I don't know, I really learned that every big idea needs a big marketing idea, because it's all well and good to do something, but if you can't share your message in an articulate or even just in a creative way that captures people's attention, then it's not going to really reach the heights that you thought it would. And Rye was the big idea, marketing idea in partnership with my big idea. So the reason we were able to raise so much money and have so much awareness around the Wilderness Society was purely because of his daily efforts, hustling for the same amount of hours as me on the whole, social media marketing, not just that, but radio, TV, news, like that was all him. He was writing to all of like Channel 7, written,
that's a job
print,
in itself, like
literally an entire job.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the energy to do that.
Like,
And he was, yeah, please speak to me. Really? So he was doing that like towns in advance to stay on top of it.
And what, like, after this run, like, especially with you two, like, what were some of the big relationships that you sort of brought together because of that? Like, you would have met some famous people and did some, like, I don't know, some big tour. I haven't actually seen every single thing you've done, but like, what were some of the cool relationships you created? Like some of the big shows that you went on. Like, did you go on any overseas, or like what was the biggest?
Oh, interesting. What was the biggest? I'm not sure what the biggest was. There was some interesting ones. I think I remember the interesting ones more than the big ones.
What do you mean by interesting?
Or like just ones I got called into a Tel Aviv radio show that was like the middle of the night for me. And it was super interesting just talking to a completely different audience.
Yeah.
Where their questions were more based around, you know, the animals that you see in Australia and just trying to like, you know, relate to it. It was so there was a lot of really interesting stuff around that. I don't know. It's hard. It depends on, say, the person who is you're talking to, because for example, my grandma just didn't have any interest in all of the kind of news around it. But then there was an article in the Times London and she thought that was the biggest deal of all. She put that on the fridge. She's like, my daughter's made it. I was like, no, I've been in every she's like, this is the only one that matters to me. So it was interesting to see, you know, what people think is like a serious news article versus what isn't. So I guess it just depends on the person.
Oh, it's just it's again, like, it's just so cool when you like I see you on the front of the newspaper. I'm like, I spoke to her like, and do you ever get people come up to you in the street, or did you ever get that like, hey, you're that chick that ran really far?
Yeah, I did for a while, and it was really bizarre. It was really bizarre. It's definitely just like, I don't know, I've taken it in my stride now, and I'm just trying to, you know, there's so many people doing incredible things, and I try not to like, you know, overthink it too much. I'm just kind of really humbled at the fact that people just enjoyed watching the adventure, and I have, and like I'm coaching in nutrition coaching now, and so my entire focus is switched.
Plug that?
I've been doing it for a few weeks, and my entire focus is switched towards trying to get or helping other people achieve their, you know, potential. So I love it. It's really rewarding to see people that, you know, either haven't done an event before or haven't, you know, finished a 10K run before to then go and smash these goals and, you know, aim for bigger ones. So I'm getting so much love and joy out of that right now.
So with that coaching and training, like nutrition wise, like, I guess this is for the audience, like if you were to give some solid advice to someone who has just started running or just getting into it, or gym or swimming or whatever, like what would that be? What does that look like?
For nutrition or for coaching?
Let's do both at the same time.
It's a very complex question. Well, it depends. It depends on, so I just look at who you are as a person, because I think that no matter how busy you are or where you live or what your work-life balance is, you can definitely find time to make a healthier, you know, lifestyle within that. And you can definitely have these running-based goals or, you know, nutrition-based goals and work around any lifestyle. So I think it's about tailoring it to you, and that's the most important thing that sometimes gets missed with programs. So I work really closely to really kind of nail what works, and also how do you like to be coached? You know, are you the kind of person that, you know, for you example, you the kind of person that likes encouragement and guidance? Are you that kind of David Goggins, like drop and give me 20?
I want to be held like a baby and told it's okay. That's what my coach is doing. Like my previous coach was very great coach. Shout out to Dave Coombs. But really good, but very numbers based. And I knew I was letting him down if I didn't do that session. I'd be like, hey, the kids are sick. I can't actually run. I've got to postpone. You know, I felt like I was, slightly letting him down a bit, and not in a bad, maybe that's just me in my own head. But my new coach for triathlons now, Adsy Gordon, he used to be a professional Australian triathlete, and you know, he's very much based on feeling, and you know, no matter what you're doing during the day, it all counts towards it. Like I told him, especially with a new restaurant opening, I'm doing like 20,000 steps a day.
Wow.
And he's like, that counts.
Of course
like,
it counts.
It's not like,
it's time on feet.
It's time on feet. And he's like,
Mhm.
that counts towards. So if you do a 10K after that, you've basically done what? 30, or let's say 25 kilometers on your feet of exercise. So, you know, he makes me feel good in that sense of that it's okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I need. Like I don't have, everyone has time, but some days, like especially Sundays, I don't train because it's my only real day with my kids.
Mhm.
So I'm going to, you know, from wake up to night.
But that's it. It's about managing expectations, and you've just said it there. We all have the same amount of hours in a day, but what is your priority in that day? And your priority isn't running, it's your children, which is completely fine. So it's all about choosing goals that align with your priorities and, you know, expectations. You can't say, okay, well, my goal is to run a 2-hour 30 marathon, but my priority is my work. Okay, well, we need to adjust your priority to align with your goal. Or we need to change your goal to align with your priority and kind of meet in the middle a little bit there. And whatever your goal is, you've just got to match the two and put in the work. And, you know, consistency is a secret weapon here. You know, it's about being consistent, and it's okay to have 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. You're still moving in the right direction. And yeah, and it's the same with nutrition. Nutrition is so tailored. Everybody's so different. Everybody reacts to different things. They have different dietary preferences. It's about maximizing your own personal nutrition to get the best out of performance. And I love it because for me, it's about taking all the information and coming up with a solution with all that information. And nutrition is actually, it can be simple and it can be complex. You know, complex where everything can come back to your gut and what you put into it. Your anxiety levels, your performance, your sleep, your stress, your happiness, it all comes back to sometimes to what you eat. And yeah, I think it's really rewarding working with people. And I've been a nutritionist for almost 10 years, and I've had a really big
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's my trade.
The more you know.
The more you know. But it's good to be back into it. I've obviously taken, 16 months off with this expedition and the recovery and travel and everything. So yeah, it's been really good to get back in and really focus on it.
Man, I wish we had more, like another hour. Oh my, like, cause that like
food with Erchana.
Podcast. That's a podcast idea. No, it's super interesting. So, especially with like, you've got food, you've got physical training, and then how would you train someone for mindset? Like how does that all come into play? Like, have you got any
mindset? Yeah. So again, I think mindset's really like it's how you can be coached. So it's about understanding how people work, or how to maximize performance in a human, whether they like to be pushed or whether they like to be encouraged or guided, or they just need to be told what to do. In terms of mindset, yeah, I guess it's about diving into situations that people can relate to and being like, okay, well, that was a tough situation that's not running related, but you can take your learnings from that situation and bring it over to running. And, I call it my self-confidence wall, where you get through a hard situation and you build a self-belief brick because you did it. And even though it was really freaking hard, you got through it. So you put that self-belief brick on your confidence wall. And next time you're in a hard situation, and again, doesn't have to be running related, you get through it, you build another self-belief brick. And over time, your confidence wall gets higher and higher, and it might get blown over every so often, but it's about pulling things from different areas of your life where you've overcome challenges and you've grown a mental toolkit to get through this, and you take that into running, and it's just trying to translate that.
Yeah, like what you like to make it more relatable. I love that because it's, I had what's his name, Simon Cochran, on the world record for the Ultraman, and he said one that it's always been there, and I love it, and I fucking say this to everyone. It's make your bed. It's just simple things throughout your day that you don't want to do, and you just do them.
Absolutely.
You don't want to fold your clothes. Go fucking fold your clothes. You don't want to pick up the rubbish. Go pick up the rubbish. Like, it's those small things, and especially with this ultra community, they think it's you have to do a 50K run every single Saturday, get it done. And it's like, no, like, I think it's how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you start picking up the rubbish, you start taking out the trash, or, you know, cleaning your car, washing your car, you don't want to fucking do it, but it all counts.
Yeah,
it all counts.
absolutely. And it's also about embracing hard work. And, you know, people look at
like actual hard
yeah,
work.
yeah. But hard work in every sense, and running is one of them, right? You know, we look at hard things, and humans are wired towards the path of least resistance. That's what we're going to do. So, you know, if you look ahead at the training program for a 50K trail run, you're like, fuck, that looks really hard. I'm going to have to get up early.
I don't do that.
Okay.
I look at day by day.
But you know what I mean? People do. They look ahead and they go, wow, I can't do a half marathon because the training looks super difficult. That if you just take that first step, and yes, you can break it down day by day, K by K, however you want to break it down. If you just start, you have a huge advantage over the next person because you've embraced the fact that you know hard work's going to get you there and you're well on your way. So it's such an advantage to just, you know, reframe how you see hard work and going, I'm at an advantage by just doing it, you know, just by starting. You're already well ahead of the next person. Because everything big success in life takes work. And it's about not thinking that as a negative, just thinking as, yeah, if I put in the time and I put in the hustle, I'm going to get there.
Like, and what we spoke about before, you know, the microphone was rolling, is like, we see the end result with you. We see the, you know, 150, how many Ks was it again?
6,330.
You see, you know, you look at it and go, wow, 6,300 kilometers. She just did that. It's like, no, it takes years and years and years. Like the analogy that I've always lived by, and especially when I was doing my big bodybuilding gym, because I used to be a PT, you know, you'd get these people that would come in, I relate this back to bodybuilding, same thing with runners, these people who are overweight, these people who want to get fit, and, you know, they've had 30 years of eating shit, feeling like shit, and they think, you know, 2 weeks in the gym is going to change all that. 2 weeks of just doing a couple workouts here and there is going to change 30 fucking years of bad eating habits. And it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, and then they give up. And it's the same thing like with this. You've really, quote unquote, you've got to put in the work. You've got to put in the physical hard work, and not each session is going to be the best session. You know, it's breaking it down. For me, it's day by day. It's just going through. What is it to be? You'd rather be consistently. No, butchered it. I give up.
Well, I can butcher a quote for you as well. So Lionel Messi, the footballer. He says it takes 17 years, 10 months and like 34 days to be an overnight success. So, you know, you got to put in the work leading up to it, and everybody saw the finish line, but no one saw the 10 years of running in the background that I did to get me there. And not just that, but, you know, everything else that we did just to get the right sponsors on board, and the calls and the meetings and the no's. And, you know, it took more hard work getting to the start line than it did getting to the finish line. And I think I take that into my coaching a lot, being like, I know how hard start lines can be. So if we can just get you there to the start line, that's 90% of the work done. You get to just enjoy the run now. And yeah, I think in terms of mindset, I think hard work, resilience, you know, positive talk, like positive self-talk, and reframing how reframing what if I'm going to fail to what if I don't, you know, what if I can't run 10Ks to what if you run 15Ks, you know, just reframing your language, breaking it down into day by day, step by step. You'll get through it.
I love that. I really like that. I could listen to you talk all day. I know.
Vice versa in your calm, sensual tone.
So to sort of land this, you know, I think for everyone that wants to listen to it, I forgot what episode, but I did do an episode, which we mentioned at the start of the podcast, with Erchana. And I went through with like the last statement thing. So this time around, what is something that you can give my audience that want to do something not as big, but there is one big audacious goal that they want to go after? What's your message to them from someone who has done something so massive? you can think about it.
Yeah, the first thing that obviously comes to my mind is a Nike slogan, "Just do it." But no, it takes. don't want to do that. I think my advice would be: firstly, it is possible, so get rid of that doubt. You can do it, and have the right people in your corner. So don't lean too heavily on the people that tell you can't do it, and just surround yourself by people that tell you that you can, because you can. And I guess then don't be afraid to start, because for me, I didn't know I could get to the 94 marathons when I saw you. I didn't think that was possible, let alone getting to 150. So yeah, I guess just back yourself, surround yourself by the right people, and collaborate. The biggest thing I learned was to lean on people who knew more than me, and lean on people who could help in various ways, and not just, ways you'd think necessary, but just in the weirdest, strangest ways. If they can, just get around you. Just people want to help. People want to see people do great things. So it's okay to ask. And I guess I'm saying that because for me, I feel sometimes really uncomfortable asking people for help. I'm a very non-confrontational, people-pleasing person, so always asking for help feels really uncomfortable. But when I learned that it's okay to lean on people, and I started to, I was so surprised how strong everyone else is and how much they'll rally behind you. So yeah, I think that's a long summary, but just just believe in yourself.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the Running Deep podcast.
Thanks for having me.
No, I genuinely appreciate it. Like, especially for a second time round, and you're living your life and you're taking time. Like anyone that comes on the podcast, it's nice because they've taken time out of their day to come talk with me.
We're neighbours now, and we don't only talk on podcasts, but we can go running together.
Do you want to come do a 50? Oh, you can't because you're not in
No,
Melbourne.
I'm going down to Melbourne. I'm doing Athletics Victoria. So I'm a member of Mansfield Athletics Club, which for those who don't know where Mansfield is, that's fair enough. It's in regional Victoria, and I got roped into joining by my old coach. So I have to fly now to Melbourne every so often to do athletics events. This one's a half though, so I think it's right up my alley, to be honest. I do like a good half.
And then you're going to do really, really fast?
I'm going to try. I'm going to try. I'm going to go
really fast.
But that's the thing. I'm not really racing fast at the moment. I'm doing a lot of long, slow events, but I'm going down to Sydney 2 weeks later to do the Sydney Marathon. Yeah. And I want to try and if I can just get under 3, I'd be stoked, because it's been ages since I've done that.
Wait, under 3 for a marathon?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. But
oh my God.
That would be sweet. And then I have an entry to Valencia December 4th marathon, and I want to try and do that one pretty quick.
We didn't even touch on your Dead Cow Gully experience.
That was such a great day. Phil Gore, shout out to Phil.
Yeah.
Lovely man.
Oh, that was the world record?
Yeah.
Because I got Sam on as well.
Yeah. He's also really great.
Yeah.
Funniest. They're so fun. You wouldn't think they're elite athletes. They just chatted. I guess it's the nature of it. Backyard, you can just chat. But
for everyone, Dead Cow Gully 2024, get in.
I reckon I'll be there. Do you want to do it?
I already got it. No, so Tim came up to see me at the restaurant, and he goes, I got a present for you. And I think I said this in the previous podcast with Nicole. He wrote on a piece of paper, free DGC.
Hey!
I was like, oh, cool. Thank you. He's like, yep, if you want to come, it's all yours. I'm like, oh, done. Let's do it.
Let's run together. It just doesn't matter how fast. It's not a fast thing.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it's just
you can
a
only
long
go.
thing,
It's just a
isn't it?
long thing.
I don't have the capacity anymore. No, I do. I don't know.
He's past it.
I'm past it. But yeah, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I actually had lots of fun doing this. This is really nice. And with the new studio, shout out to Poly Studios and Caleb. I really appreciate it. It's nice. It's really nice. And I'll hopefully get you on when you do something really big next.
Watch this space.
Peace.